Welcome to NAB 2026. I'm James with Ikan, and I have here with me my dear friend Craig Frankenstein, Senior Director of Digital Workplace at FORTÉ. How are you doing today, Craig?
Good, James. How are you?
I'm good.
It's the last day of the show, so I'm feeling relaxed today.
I feel the same. It's that smooth kind of coast to the end, right?
You see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's also, I'm finding today to be the day to reflect upon everything that's happened in the last couple of days. If you think about the amount of interactions that happens in such a compressed amount of time, it's like, to me, I was thinking like, it's like a month of interactions, or maybe even more than a month of interaction I would have, but compressed to 3+ days.
Yes.
And it's going to take a little bit of time for me to unpack everything that's happened.
Yeah.
Right.
Someone asked me the other day, what's the best part of NAB to you? And I said, the relationships. It's getting together with people that I've known, friends. And like you said, getting those conversations that you and I might spend 30 minutes today, we wouldn't be able to do that in 2 or 3 days of Teams calls. So we can catch up on how you're doing, how your products are doing, how the market is. I get to see the latest version of your technology. There's so much that we can get done. And we're doing it hour after hour after hour for 4 days. So I like that part of the show.
I love that. It's the reunion of people and the reunion of technology.
Yeah.
Because we all get to be people and technology get to be in the same building. Yeah.
Yep. We're all in the same lane business-wise. So I enjoy seeing where the company's going and catching up with you at the same time.
Same here. Most of our audience will know who you are and will know who FORTÉ is.
Mm-hmm.
But just for the ones who don't, can you tell us, your role within FORTÉ and what does FORTÉ represent and stand for?
Sure, absolutely. FORTÉ, formerly AVI Systems for 51 years, recently rebranded. We're a solution provider. We're largely in the corporate space. We take care of a lot of Fortune 500 companies, and we cover a lot of verticals, from manufacturing to healthcare to financial to media and entertainment, oil and gas, you name it. We have 42 offices throughout the U.S., plus global offices now. Depending on where we are, the customers are just into different business. And the technology that we put in, like yours, it applies to all of the verticals. It's just the use cases are slightly different. So we're working with customers, regardless of what their business lane is, to understand their business problems, deliver solutions that meet the outcomes and the human objectives that they're looking for. They come to us because they have a communication problem or they have a challenge setting up conference rooms. It could be a variety of things. They're coming to us with a specific problem. Our job is to really understand what good looks like to them and then put the technology behind it. The technology comes after. It's really understanding where they're trying to go. What does good look like when we're all done? Then we put those solutions together, we install them, we support them, and we continue the relationship. So we're a solution provider and a trusted partner for our customers.
Craig, I know you well. I know that your background is in broadcast.
Yes.
FORTÉ is known more so for its AV focus.
Yep.
But you are such a great advocate for broadcast. What does broadcast look like from your perspective within FORTÉ?
Sure. I would say the largest percentage of business inside of FORTÉ would be traditional collaboration, conferencing, Teams rooms, Zoom rooms, things like that. But within those accounts, they always have specialty spaces. The CEO needs to go on camera and he needs to look on point and on brand. So I'm fortunate enough, because I love broadcast. I come from broadcast. I come from post-production and regulated broadcast. I've been doing it for an embarrassingly long time, 30 plus years. I think I've been in integration specifically around broadcast. So I am very passionate about the technology and what we do for our clients. What it is inside of FORTÉ is it's a lane of business that applies to so many of our clients. So we may start by building 100 or 200 conference rooms for them and helping them communicate just within their work community in a building. But there's always going to be that conversation about an executive town hall or an all hands meeting. Those conversations then turn into, how do we build a space just like you and I are sitting in? So when those individuals get on camera, it looks like television. So we get to talk to the clients, the specialty group specifically around those unique spaces. And it could be an auditorium. It might be a multi-purpose room where a lot of times there's just a small business group in there, 10, 20, 30 people. They don't have to put on a big show, but once a quarter, the executive team gets on the stage and it goes out to thousands of people. Completely different use case, and those are important. So I get to spend a lot of time talking to customers about those unique use cases and everybody on the team. So it's not just me, it's everyone on our team that gets to work with the clients to understand what good looks like and help them deliver the solutions that they need when their senior leadership's on camera.
Speaking of executives of corporations, a few months ago, Avixa released their State of the Industry report. And, there's a lot of good intel from that report. One that really stuck out to me is that 52% of AV broadcast decisions that are made, investment decisions made by a corporation, is made by the executives,
I
the
saw that.
C-suite.
Interesting.
Yes.
Which means it's now on their radar.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the convergence, as we call it, from broadcast to AV or AV to broadcast, there's so much overlap that now the executives are even recognizing when we're on camera, it needs to be of this particular quality and consistency. And the other part of it that the executives now realize that they're monitoring and measuring is, not only do I need to look good, so right now we have great lighting and we probably sound really good and we look great on the monitors that are here, but if we're streaming out to 3,000 employees, how many of those employees actually get a good experience? So we're now measuring all the way to the end and helping organizations understand it's not just about the half hour that we're going to spend together. It's about the 3,000 people who half of them might be watching it on their phone from somewhere. Are they getting a good experience? Does it look good? Does it represent? So it's interesting how important it is all the way to the end user on whatever device, wherever they are.
That is so profound because it's the end deliverable. It's the end touch point
That matters.
That matters.
Right.
Yeah.
It starts with the product that we're looking at right here, but we have to monitor all the way to the last mile.
Yeah, that's so true. Corporate customers, there are corporations of various different sizes. How do you know what amount of solutions, how do you know what solutions will fit them? Because I have been to large Fortune 500 companies where the infrastructure for broadcast rivals and actually exceeds that of a local call letter.
Yeah.
I also know that a lot of corporations they're just starting out.
Yep.
They're maybe the first part of starting out is I'm going to clear out a conference room, or maybe I'm going to clear out an empty office. I'm going to try to get something started.
Yeah.
There's a huge spectrum.
Yeah. So it comes down to the conversation about the business problem that they have and what good looks like to them. The hard part for the customer oftentimes is they have very aspirational visions of how good they want the product to be. And they may bring in, we always ask them, give me an example of what good looks like. Maybe it's a competitor of yours had a webcast or a public address that you really liked. Show me something that you like so that I can get in alignment with the customer to understand what good looks like to them. And from that point, we then start talking about what kind of technology would be required to do it, and also the human factor of managing it. A broadcast studio isn't always run by one person, whereas an AV application might be one individual who can mic up 3 presenters and get the PowerPoint on the screens and make sure audio comes out to everyone in a room. Broadcasting can be more complex than that. So when we ask them what they're aspiring to, we have to make sure that not only can we align the technology, fit it into their budget, but also be very clear about what's the human factor that's going to be required. Some of these solutions, you have to go in the day before, fire everything up, make sure it's working, check the white balance on the cameras, the lighting. And then if you're getting into anything extended, let's talk about virtual production for a minute. Fantastic technology that really transcends what broadcasts can look like for people on camera, but it's not always easy. It can be very complicated and it can be fragile. And that's the worst part about it. You put in a fragile solution, you show up too late to test it, it doesn't work. Now you have a real problem. You don't want the executive walking into the studio and you say, I'm sorry, we're not ready. That doesn't fly.
Not with when he signs the check for that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we have to right size the solutions based on their desires and who's going to be available for them. So sometimes we recommend bringing in augmented staffing just for the big events to get them started. Allow us to find 2 engineers that will help you with your first 6 events, just to make sure everything goes off without a hitch. And if it does, great. And if you never need them for events again, great. But we don't want you to fall down the first time we put a studio in and you forgot something or just didn't take into considerations some of the preparation and the testing. So it's hard. Customers have large aspirations on what they want, but they don't always know how hard it is to run that technology.
So true.
And let's face it, if technology worked great every time, it'd be less of an issue, but it doesn't.
No.
That's the reality, especially when we talk about computer solutions and where we're going with AI and all of these awesome tools. They can be very, very powerful, but they're not bulletproof.
I love this idea of having the in-house staff for normal operations and an augmented staff or enhanced staffing when you have a big event. Is those enhanced staffing, is that a service that FORTÉ provides?
We do.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So we have a managed service division, and for particular high-profile events, things that just can't go down, mission critical. The CEO is going to be on camera and there's 5,000 people that are watching it. We need to make sure that they have as much event support locally, remotely. Maybe it's remotely monitoring all of the last mile individuals to make sure that the team's live event, if that's the platform, is delivering the way we're supposed to. Maybe there's a particular area that's having a problem. Maybe we intentionally change the data rate that we're sending content to them to make up for that. Maybe there's a communication issue. Maybe the slides aren't working perfectly. There's all kinds of things that can pop up. If we have enough staff there to handle all of this, an extra set of hands, I'll say, we can deal with these things dynamically and make sure that the show goes off without a hitch.
The AV industry has fully adopted IP workflows for the past several decades now.
Yeah.
They left baseband SDI behind several decades ago. They've never looked back. In the last few years, the broadcast industry is adopting more and more IP-based workflows. What percentage of your projects are IP-based versus still baseband?
So, good question. I would say almost every single project that we're going into now has an element of an IP workflow, not 100% IP. So if it's a studio with 3 cameras, we may have SDI running just within this area in the studio, but chances are there's a remote participant, a collaborator, or maybe somewhere we need to send those signals and programs from a REMI perspective. So there's an IP aspect of almost every single project we get into these days. Not necessarily 100%, especially when we're in close proximity. Sometimes it's just SDI locally within the studio from the cameras to the switcher, but there's a hybrid element to it, and that percentage is going up and up and up. I think it's going to get easier and easier over time. It will get better. 2110 is a great platform. It's a great protocol, but it is challenging to customers that have never done that before. There's a lot of requirements around timing and particulars, and all of the manufacturers don't have the same communication and standards either, which makes it challenging. SDI was pretty standard, safely. One camera into a monitor to a switcher, you could pretty much assume that it would work. So as we work through all of those challenges and differences in standards, we're going to see more and more. Eventually, it's going to be all IP.
So true. Beyond 2110, especially for corporations that don't need that uncompressed signal, what are alternatives?
Well, there's compressed formats that you can put down 2110. So I think that's going to be
the IPMX as an example.
It. Yep. Exactly. And so we're looking for that to grow, just like we did with SDI. We didn't always have to have fully uncompressed, full bandwidth, uncompressed video. There's times when, you look at IP video right now, there's a lot of protocols where it's plenty of resolution for what we're doing. Knowing that it's not going to be on the big screen for film, it's just going to go out as a 1920 by 1080 stream. Sometimes we can get away with compressed video, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. From a network perspective, there's a huge upside to not having 40, 50, and 100 gig video on every single stream going throughout the network. So I think there's going to be a big demand for that when they finally work out those compressed protocols over 2110.
So true. I'm gonna add, take a little bit of a detour. I wanna, I wanna take the chance to maybe, so at the show this year, we showcased many of the products that we're showing today are trying to advance the IP workflow.
Yeah.
And with that, the convergence of broadcast and AV. And the convergence happens from both ends, right? So we're talking about on the AV end, and we're talking a lot about AV customers, them wanting to integrate some level of broadcast equipment, quality, workflow, cameras, lighting, all those things into their system. We're also seeing from the broadcast end a desire to bring some of the AV workflows for the benefit of automation, right?
Yeah.
So it goes both ways. And eventually, I think the two sides will just come closer and closer together.
Yeah.
But in the world today, it's almost like they're still on their respective sides.
Yeah.
And they're wanting to just bring pieces of what's best to either side, right?
Well, didn't Avixa create a term, broadcast AV?
They did.
So that's kind of what you're talking about. It's the blending of the two.
Yeah.
What we've seen in corporate America, the Fortune 500 customers, the control systems that customers are used to from Crestron and QSys, it's a very reliable way to control equipment and create predictable results that it's very hard to break. When we put things into a control system and we design a UI on a tablet and we give end users specific functionality, that's a pretty solid way to go. You're not giving them the ability to do anything more than they need to for that use case, and that's what the UI does, but it does it very reliably. So when we're looking at an auditorium as an example, those are multi-use spaces where we may have a QSys control system in that auditorium for particular things like controlling your lights. As an example, I may want to change the color, the intensity. I may have all of that on a QSys control tablet to make it easy, even though I'm still using broadcast cameras and maybe even a raw switcher, and I'm truly creating a production. A lot of these elements, we're bringing AV-style control systems into the broadcast environment for simplicity, number one, and reliability. I don't necessarily need a big light board. With your hardware, I rarely sell light boards. It usually ends up being part of a control system because we have access to the plugin that you've created. Thank you. That was a great idea, by the way, whoever thought of that.
Credit goes to Craig Frankenstein.
No, thank you for doing that because it's really been applicable to our clients because they all want some element of control and reliability and repeatability. It's a great way to do that. And being able to set presets for the height on teleprompters and see that level of control brought to the AV side is fantastic.
I am so grateful that you introduced me to the folks at QSys. Because we were, even that first meeting, like everybody was on the same page.
Yeah.
You, me,
it was a good synergy.
It was, and yeah, I'm trying to think who the person that we met at QSys was. Eventually I met Gino and I met Patrick. And again, it was perfect synergy. Everybody is on the same page. All of our PoE lighting natively talks to QSys.
Yep.
Love that. And they've been such great partners, advocates on both sides as technology partners. Our new Studio Rover, which we won Best of Show at NAB this year for.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. That's going to also have a QSys control as one of the many ways that you can interface with the system.
Awesome.
For exactly what you said, the macros, the automation, the idea that non-technical people can operate the equipment successfully without having a team of people having to do all the work because there's friction, right? Like I want salespeople, marketing people, the folks within an organization that have a lot of really wonderful things to say and things that people want to hear, but are not traditionally media savvy or media technology savvy. I want them to be empowered to just go in front of a Rover or any other set of these one-touch or two-touch solutions and feel like they can deliver content without having to schedule something weeks in advance because the team that's doing that as well as managing conference rooms they've got a lot on their plate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, when we look at corporate America, something that started many, many years ago for our clients, in the conference room, they wanted what's known as one touch to join.
Mhm.
They want to walk in a room, see the tablet, and hit one button once, one touch to join. They're brought into the invitation that's already scheduled for the room. They know who's going to be there. They want that kind of simplicity and reliability for corporate solutions, broadcast solutions. Your Rover, perfect example. So putting the control system in and allowing us to program it in a sensible way for the customer use case gives them that, I'll say, one touch to join experience.
Yeah.
It's exactly what they want.
Yeah. For an executive that's trying to sign off on that check and make a significant investment, capital expenditure for their company in terms of bringing video in-house, video production in-house.
Yeah.
I've spoken to other executives, and again, those 52% decision makers. The initial upfront investment is a big check, but what makes the signing of that check worth it is the hours of utilization.
Yes.
Right? If you're going to build something and only use it 4 times a year versus if you're going to build something and use it hours each day,
Mm-hmm.
the difference of those two things is having in-house people that are willing to use the equipment. And when you make it that simple, guess what? You're going to have more people feeling, again, empowered to utilize the equipment.
I agree. So we oftentimes encourage the customers to set up, what's the real return of investment for you as a customer? Tell us what's important to you. And one of the biggest things for us that we suggest is, why don't we measure adoption? Let's see how much the utilization starts, and then can we grow adoption and utilization over time? And we set goals. We say, maybe we're going to do one event a week for the first few months, and then you're going to find another business unit and another business unit. You're going to offer it to them, let them see the product that can be created in the broadcast studio you create. And generally what happens is most of them, the light bulb goes off and they say, wow, I would like to be able to create my message and deliver my message that way. And that we do see an increase in utilization. So that's the ROI. I would agree. There's a couple of sides to it. Utilization is one. The other part of it is when it's in the building of the company and company employees are able to run it and be part of it, they already understand the culture oftentimes of the leadership that's coming down. They know that individual, or they know their ways a little bit. They understand them. It makes it comfortable for the executives to come down because the employees that are there understand how they want to work. Do I need to pause and have my water before I go down? Do you need to make sure that light's not too bright on me? I don't want this or that. They get used to working with them. And then those executives are able to actually deliver better because they're not always paid professional people on camera. Let's face it, you turn a red light on and a lot of people just freeze up and can't talk. So knowing that, it's easier to get the execs to deliver better when they're in an environment that they're comfortable. So there's a lot of things that we do to analyze, what's this environment going to feel like for the people that are going to be in here producing? Do they want to sit in a green box and we fake everything and change it? Are they comfortable with that? If they're not, sometimes we consider building sets just like you and I are sitting in today. So we take all aspects of it, the human side as well, look at everything and try and make it as comfortable as we can for the individuals to allow them to create the best product video that they're able to deliver.
I love what you said, Craig. And as an executive, it's music to my ears because what you're doing is you're not only designing the solution and implementing the solution, but you're part of this, you're part of the solution to not necessarily the word guarantee, but ensure success of the solution.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I think about every facet of when we started a new CRM a few years back, my fear was, oh boy, I'm going to sign a check for all of this upfront setup and implementation and training. And it's only worth it if it transforms the sales team in terms of the way they interface with that piece of software. Yep. And what we do here in this space is the same. It's the success. What is your metric for success?
Yep.
I love that you're asking your clients that, and not only just asking them, but really helping them build a program, a post-installation plan to ensure that success.
Well, we have to take ownership to deliver what they're going to need to justify the expense and the return on investment. We have to. If we're going to earn our best customers, we're considered a trusted partner. That's the highest level of relationship you can have with a client. You are a trusted partner. And that means we're not interested in just delivering boxes and selling them something. We're interested in elevating their business and allowing them to see the measurable improvement from what we put in together. And that allows us to continue the relationship. Not just, I'm not interested in a project. We're interested in the relationship with the customer, and we challenge each other. So there are times when a customer says, I want to do this. And somebody on the team will say, I don't think that's a good idea. And we have to push back. And it's not that we're right. It's a conversation to say, let's make sure we're looking at all aspects of this. And oftentimes what our team will recommend is, let's set up a pilot. Let's stage it. Before we do full-on commitment to 100 of these, let's build one.
Mm-hmm.
And let's all agree together that this is really what you want to do for 100 of them. And it's the best way to just take a little bit of time and investment to make sure that you're making the right long-term, larger decision.
I love that. I love that. And to add one more anecdotal piece of information, one that I will actually do some of our own market research into, is that somebody or a few people have told me that in addition to ROI, the internal rate of return of producing your own podcast or just some sort of very genuine in-house content, that our IRR, when done correctly and done well, is of higher return than the internal rate of return of other forms of marketing spend, like coming to a trade show,
Yeah.
like investing in commercials. If that's the type of audience you cater to, or banner ads, or digital marketing, CPCs, or sponsorships, like to be able to build this genuine platform, earned media, not paid media, but earned media.
Yeah.
I've heard that is actually the highest form of.
Do you think there's a level of sincerity that happens? Like, this is unscripted.
Exactly.
We're just having a conversation. There's a level of sincerity that's a little more believable than a marketing ad or a poster that you see on the wall. I think that's got a lot to do with it.
Yes. And we all love to hear good stories.
Yeah.
And think about oral history. Our ancestors, before writing, passed down oral history.
You're right.
Passed down stories generation to generation.
Yep.
And we still remember stories from our grandparents, stories from our parents that gave us a sliver of what life was like then.
Uh-huh.
And granted, it's not the same thing, but people love to hear stories. People love to hear invention stories, concept stories, success stories, case study stories. Like, people just want to be a part of a story, right?
Yes.
This is why we love storytelling.
Yeah, that's true. We've been like that for generation after generation.
Yeah. And now we're doing in a way that, I love these formats. I love talking with you, Craig. Love this time. One last question before we part ways. NAB, you come to NABs and Infocoms and every year, there's a lot that's the same. There's a lot of similar faces, right? This is the reunion.
Yeah.
And there's oftentimes, reunion of technology. What's new for you this year? What did you see new this year?
Let's see. Let me summarize 4 days very quickly here in a minute.
Decompress, right? Unpack, unzip all the 4 days.
I think for me, I've been in this business so long that I come to the show expecting to see improvements in technology, improvements in workflows for particular products, just the efficiencies grow. I did see a bit of that. I'm rarely wowed anymore, but sometimes I'll see stuff that's really eye-opening. Like the advancement of the rover is a perfect example. This is the next version of it. It cleans up, it gets better. We improve this, we improve that. And a lot of technology is that way. I noticed a few things on the show floor where it used to be 2 products or 3 products that it took to solve that problem. Now it's all in one product. Or maybe there was a slight improvement to, I'll just use a camera as an example. Now the camera has enhanced processing and tracking because now they put an AI chip in the camera to allow us to do a couple of more things that, even though the camera already looked good, it's just a little more useful and functional for what we needed to do in corporate America. So I did see incremental upgrades to solutions, to products, and I'll say efficiency. So I enjoy seeing open platforms like QSys. I'm a huge fan of that because they don't just say, you have to buy all of our stuff. We have everything, buy it all. They're more of a open platform for products like yours and others, where they're bringing broadcast cameras into their ecosystem now and integrating control. So they're making it easier overall by taking a couple of solutions and combining them together. So the excitement for me this week was those incremental upgrades. The tracking's a little better, the solutions are a little smoother, and a few things are now, instead of having 3, now I just have 1. So I definitely saw incremental upgrades on a few different things this year.
Wonderful.
This is always a great show.
Agreed.
It's the business we've been in. We're still passionate about it. I love seeing the technology get better because I'm always looking through the lens of our customers. So when I see something on the show floor, like the Rover, it allows me to remember that, compartmentalize it. And then when we're having conversations with clients about their business problems and we're talking about, well, what if you had a location where we needed remote production and we had to have control of it? I can start thinking back through the things that I was able to see on the show floor. And every year we just see incremental upgrades to all of it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. And, one of the things that I love about our company and what we stand for is that we we're very far ahead in terms of all the ways that we are plugged into various different forms of technology, but we also show a lot of restraint. We don't want to bring technology to the forefront of a customer simply because it looks cool. We really want it to be value add. When we developed our PoE lighting, it wasn't because power over Ethernet on lighting is a cool concept. It is a cool concept, but we knew that it was going to address real pain points that was going to stop adoption of broadcast broadcast technology in a corporate environment. Right, the low voltage, the control and power through that network. Utilizing the backbone of most corporations, right, having switches already built into the infrastructure of every building. The partnership with Netgear AV. That's just one example of as a company, we love to deliver technology that is truly value add. Not a distraction, not a bell and whistle. And when I see other technology partners and even competitors doing it right, it's the respect. You're on the right track.
I would agree. That's what your PoE lighting did for our clients. When they would come into our experience centers and see it and realize that's just an Ethernet cable, that's it. We could put that anywhere. Absolutely. And we can control it from the control system that you have in the room. It allowed them to outfit spaces that they couldn't have otherwise done. So it's been a game changer for a lot of corporate customers. It gave them the ability to maybe pick a room that was an interim room that they were going to build a studio in and allow us to put studio lighting and control in that they couldn't have otherwise done it. So that changed. That was based on a business problem of a customer, and you delivered an outcome that fixed their problem. Good work.
Thank you. Thank you, Craig. Really appreciate that. We couldn't be successful without you believing in us as a company, believing in me as the leader of the company, believing in the products and the philosophy of what we want to deliver for our customers. And, you and I have known each other for many years. We share the same values in terms of how we want to present ourselves, how we want to work with people, and ultimately how we want to serve and do best for our customers, our technology, our resellers, our channel partnership relationship, as well as with technology partners.
There's been a lot of constructive conversations that have actually turned into products and outcomes for our clients. So
so
good
true.
work.
Craig, thank you so much for your time today. Thank
Always
you for
a
your
pleasure.
friendship.
Likewise.
Always good seeing you. I look forward to seeing you here, InfoComm,
in a couple more months.
6-7 weeks, I believe.
Okay, less than a couple months.
Yeah.
We'll do it again.
We'll do it again. Thank you.
Thanks, James.